Hi, I'm Steve Thompson, president of Emery Thompson Machine, and welcome to Make It Fresh. Today we have a studio audience of about 22 people, our maximum, and we're going to be making a lot of different products. Let me tell you what the lineup is for today, subject to change because you never know when Jeff is driving over here from Daytona Beach if he passes a strawberry farm or a roadside stand selling cherries. The whole formula could change immediately. But for now, Tie-Dye Jeff Markow, will be making wild cherry Snickers ice cream. I have a surprise presentation that you'll have to wait and see what it is. Christi is going to make pumpkin cheesecake ice cream. Jeff is going to make sinful bun ice cream. That sounds good. That should be nice and sticky. And then after lunch, we'll be doing Jeff again with Rocky Road ice cream, and Christi finishing up with a Cranberry Cosmo Sorbet. Oh, that sounds good. So that's our lineup for today, and I hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you in a minute. Yeah.
How you doing, okay?
Christi, are you taking over now?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, somewhat. I mean...
You're up.
Yeah. How much sugar do I... Oh, we have to pass that out. I don't need that.
They do.
Yeah, they do.
I'll give it to them and they can do it.
All right.
If you'll hand those down the line.
It says 2 pounds of sugar, right?
Cranberry Cosmo?
Yeah.
2 pounds of sugar.
Okay.
Jeff, are you taking off for Daytona Beach?
Nothing escapes you.
No, well, I wanted you to come up and so we can say thank you. And don't walk off with my microphone again.
Oh, yes.
Cost $1,000. Everybody, let's give a hand to Jeff for a fantastic job. Thank you.
I find myself in the car driving home. So, Steve, what did you think today?
How'd you like when I sent that helicopter after you?
Right. So remember, if you were at the class, and many of you were, feel free to email me. Let me know what's going on. The group picture will be on the site, the private page, anytime now. And
you go ahead.
And there's another class. January is our next class.
January 9th, if you didn't hear about it, Jeff runs a 2-day boot camp, which is, unlike this class, it's hands-on. You'll be making the ice cream. He'll be sitting in a barca-lounging out orders.
Well, not a barca-lounger, but I do sit down, right?
And then Jeff also has a fantastic ice cream book that has all his flavors in it. So you can contact Jeff. He failed spelling in grade school, so the email address is xhippie, but hippie spelled wrong.
You know
so
the
be
origin
careful.
of that, by the way?
No.
The origin of that is when AOL first came out in the late 90s, I thought my license, I thought, let's get xhippie because that's my life. But it was taken already. XHIPPIE was taken, and XHIPPY was taken. So there was nothing else left. And then I went to the Motor Vehicle Bureau, and I wanted a license plate indicative of that, and the same thing happened. I couldn't get those. That's why it's EE. And damn, my whole life has been EE.
HIPPEE. But the most amazing thing, which he doesn't understand, so don't tell him, do you know anybody else who has AOL? You do. Okay, I'll shut up. All right, I'm in trouble.
I use that for the junk.
Right, AOL for the spam.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jeff. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, I have a great time here.
We'll see you in January.
You bet, or before.
Okay.
So,
There you go, Christy. Sorry.
no, it's fine. Cranberry Cosmo, if you saw me in the background, I did my triple sec, which it's the orange flavor triple sec, and then the Absolute Citron, which is a citrus vodka, and then fresh squeezed lemon juice. Steve and I use the same lemons.
Once again, it's liqueurs in most of the stuff we use.
All right, make sure my gate is closed, which it is not.
Christy, is the vodka a lower proof,
No,
or is that
this is
full strength?
40%.
It's high test, 80
Okay,
proof.
the good stuff. Okay.
All right, I have white shoes. Wish me luck, guys.
Yeah, right. All of a sudden, everybody got out. Yeah, I get it.
A lot of people ask me, how do I come up with my Italian ice flavors or ice cream flavors? My ice cream flavors, believe it or not, I come up with from family recipes. My mom was a baker. She used to run 300 bakeries, so I have a lot of recipes from her. So I take those desserts and turn them into ice cream. Jeff, of course, you know, he just sits there and wonders and comes up with random things. My Italian ices, I come up with from mixed drinks. I have 2 bars at my house. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Got one inside and one outside. But it's a mixed drink, and then you just have to come up with your formula ratios. And like we had mentioned before, you add a little couple ounces, taste test it, and see and go from there.
It's really true because one of the books I have.
Anyway, any questions about what I did, adding anything into it, working with what we call boozy ice? Steve has a good speak on that about how people go from infused alcohol to call it boozy ice. You want to tell them about that?
I did earlier this morning, but
wow.
it's just a fun sounding name.
It is, it is.
So you didn't have any water in this one, right?
I didn't need to. I'm using a juice cocktail. Whenever I work with juices, I don't ever add water. So if you want to make an orange Italian ice, I like to buy the Simply Orange Juice brand with a high pulp, and I don't add any water with that. If I am going to do a cranberry Cosmo, just straight cranberry juice. I have done cranberry and orange juice, and those 2 flavors go really well, and it comes kind of like a pink, almost like the color of your shirt. It's a very, very, very great flavor. If you buy, I forgot the brand of it, but they come in cartons in the refrigerated section, those juices. Those you don't have to use water if you're going to make Italian ice with it, just your sugar in that. There are certain juices that are very, very, very sweet and already have a lot of sugar. So the rule of thumb with the CB350 is always adding 2 pounds of sugar. Sometimes when you're working with a very high sugary juice, you don't need that. So you can cut it back down to 1.5 pounds. But I wouldn't go any less than that because the machine still needs something to freeze. So that way you have a really nice scooping. Did you talk to them about the texture and scooping, about more sugar, less sugar?
In the Italian ice,
Yeah.
yes.
You did? You already did talk about it?
The more sugar you
Yeah,
add, the
okay.
smoother it is.
Well, then I'm out.
No, you're not.
I got nothing.
That's not true.
So because it has alcohol, sugar, plus the juice, and it's sat for a little bit, it's going to take probably 15-ish minutes to freeze. If I was to do batches back to back to back to back, because the cylinder is very cold, your batch times, your first run of the day, so this is the first batch, it's going to take a little while longer. If I was to do another one after that, it's going to take a couple minutes less because the cylinder is already cold. So a lot of people, you know, they'll wander off for 15 minutes because their first batch took that long. No, your second batch won't take that long. So always keep that in mind too. Yes?
You got the 10 ounce measurement, and then just testing it out as you were going.
Well, I go from this one because I do this at home on this one. So whatever I put in this, I double it for that. Exactly. So take that one and then double it for the 12 quart, and then you're going to triple it for this one. So if I know it works in this one, I know it'll work in that one.
I have a question about baking
Okay.
and freezing time on our machine. When you are baking at home and a cake and a recipe says It takes 25 minutes at 350. Do you, at 25 minutes, when the timer goes off, do you just take it out of the oven? Why not? Isn't that what the instructions said?
No. Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean you go by it.
So what do you do?
I wait till it's done.
I
Then
mean, do you check it?
Where are you getting at, Steve?
So is that what you're doing here? Is you're checking it even though your timing is close? Are you
yes.
checking it?
Yes.
So that's an important thing to do. Just don't go by time, go by appearance.
Yeah, but for this flavor, you're probably going to take that long.
Okay.
Anybody else? No?
This is your big chance to ask questions. After this, we're going to go for a tour of the factory and then show you the exit. That's it.
Give us your money first.
Any questions?
How many settings do you have on the, like, you can choose the different types of, what's the difference between homemade ice cream and?
Pretty sure it's 10. You have, super premium, gelato, custard, frozen lemonade, dairy-free, Italian ice, homemade, manual. So there's quite a few on there. And like he had mentioned before, it always has that manual speed because every chef is different. So even though the RPMs are already set for each individual setting, you can, if you know it's really close to that one, but you want it five RPMs lower, just select that one and then just drop it down. And of course, you can always go to manual and then keep pushing it a bunch of times until you get to the RPMs you like. When you work with Italian ice, there is no expansion. So it kind of doesn't matter any button you push because it's just sugar, water, and fruit, or sugar, water, and alcohol. Dairy is where you're going to have your fat content. And the faster the dasher spins, the more air you're putting into your product. The slower the dasher spins, the less air you're putting into it. So if you want to make a very light and fluffy ice cream, that's homemade. If you want to make it nice, thick, and heavy, that's going to be a custard, gelato, and a super premium. But Italian ice is just sugar water.
And that's what makes it such a unique invention that people haven't copied, because I found a way that as you slow the motor down, you're normally losing the pulling power, what we call in torque in cars. If you cut the speed in half, that motor doesn't have the strength to pull through that thick Italian ice. I found a way 22 years ago to make it so that no matter what speed I run that motor at, it's the full 100% power of the motor. Like on the big machine, that's a 3 horsepower drive motor. No matter how, I could slow it down to 55 RPM. It's still a 3 horsepower motor. And that's what makes it so unique. And that's why it's been 22 years and has yet to been copied.
What is the fastest you can spin?
234, that's homemade. By law, ice cream cannot have more than 100% overrun. By law, you cannot.
What was that again?
By law, you cannot have more than 100% overrun for ice cream. Why? I don't know, but you just can't.
Well, it's a federally controlled thing, and
yeah, but why that number? Why not 105?
Good idea. Same reason why if it's 9%, you can't call it ice cream.
Exactly.
It's got to be 10% or higher.
So if you see,
right?
they say low-fat ice cream, and then they advertise 6%. Well, according to the FDA, ice cream has to have 10% butterfat. So they call it low-fat ice cream, but it's really low-fat dairy frozen stuff.
Yeah, well, they ended up just calling it a frozen dessert.
Yeah, frozen dessert. So they can't even call that ice cream.
Gelato gets around that because gelato wasn't the dairy industry, the FDA didn't exist when gelato was first invented. So there are no restrictions on gelato. Gelato can be 12% fat, it could be 2% fat, and still be called gelato because there are no federal laws for it.
It's spitting all over me.
Yeah, just spit on me.
Oh, so good. When you work with Italian ice, because it's going so fast, it's going to splash out at you. And now I'm going to be sticky. Look at this. Look at me.
Here, and you're putting more product into the machine than you would be if you were doing ice cream.
Oh, well. And also when you work with Italian ice, you can add more to the machine. So you can always run at 4 quarts. 4 quarts of liquid, whether it's 4 quarts of wine and juice, or wine and water, or water and your fruits, or whichever or a base. It can always be at that 4 quarts because there is no expansion. The machine doesn't need any room for your product to expand. Because it's a 6-quart machine, you're putting 4 quarts of liquid, you're going to add your juice. It's just the ice crystals is what's freezing, so it's only, about 17% overrun? It's not much to count for anything.
I originally rated the machine at 6 quarts finished product. It actually makes 7, but we still, in all our advertising everywhere, you'll see 6 quarts, and then you'll be pleasantly surprised when you get more. Just a personal choice of what I wanted to do with the machine.
Does everybody always like boozy products? Yay? Nay? Yeah? Yeah. You gotta know what you mean.
I have to try.
Oh, you're not gonna get nothing out of that.
Don't worry, I'll have his sample.
What?
I'll have his sample.
Oh, okay. So 2 for her, 0 for you.
Any other questions? Anything back there? Know everything?
This was a very quiet group.
They were okay.
Yeah.
They did good.
Normally we can't even have time to do, or not normally, but there's some groups where we don't even have time to tend to what we're doing because everybody's just going on and asking 1,000 questions. So this is nice.
How many have heard of dairy-free ice cream? Coconut, okay. How many are planning on making it? Good. Yeah, it should be all of you. I have lived through a lot of fads and trends over the time, and this dairy-free is truly a trend. My age group, the baby boomers, there's 72 million of them. There are 85 million millennials. And when I first started getting involved in dairy-free about 3.5 years ago, I'd call up, let me know when you're ready, I don't want to interrupt. I would call up some of the old-time dairies out on Eastern Long Island, or ice cream parlors on Eastern Long Island, Massachusetts. People had been in business, family business, 70 years. And I'd say, what are you doing? I want to tell you about this dairy-free product. And they'd cut me off. They'd say, listen, we've been in business for 70 years. We sell very rich, very gooey, old-fashioned homemade ice cream, and we've got a big clientele. What do we need with that dairy-free? And I said, I'll tell you what. You look out across who's in your store right now. You tell me how many people are in there in their 20s and 30s. And he goes, well, there's 1 or 2. And I said, well, I got some bad news for you. Us baby boomers are going to be what I call aging out. Nice term for dropping dead. We're going to be aging out. And what are you going to replace us with? A group of people that you don't even understand what they are interested in. You don't realize that they do not specifically want a dairy product. For whatever reason they want, health, social, whatever, it doesn't matter. And I can make any flavor of ice cream that I do in ice cream, I can do it in dairy-free. My personal preference is coconut as a base, coconut milk or oat milk. I know Breyers is playing with cashew, and pick up some dairy-free cashew from Breyers. It's like every bite is like eating the Sahara Desert. Your mouth just gets drier and drier. The oat is great. The coconut is great, but it does have a coconut background taste, which I find pleasing, but you can't make vanilla ice cream with a coconut background taste. The oat has no taste whatsoever. It's smoother, it's creamier, and whatever flavor I'm making is what the flavor of the oat is going to be. Do I have any of the oat bags around here? Or?
Mommies?
Yes. I'll tell you about this, and Christy will tell you about the bladders. This is a company called, she pronounces it Mommy's Gelato, M-A-M-I-S. That's Italian. M-A-M-I-S is Italian for mommy. And Naomi Posner is the president of this company, and she came up with this. She first did coconut, and the ingredients are coconut powder, it's some sugar, and cream of coconut. And it's all powdered, and then you just add water, and you've got a perfect coconut base. Then she came out with the Outrageous, which is the same concept, but it's still in this foil bag, and you just add water, and it becomes an oat product. Both of them are excellent. Easy to use, easy to store, doesn't matter where in the country you are. Christy, you want to tell them quickly about your friends
Meadowvale.
over at Meadowvale?
So Meadowvale also makes a dairy-free, but it comes in a traditional bladder, just like the ones that we used over here. It is a tapioca based, so it will thicken up quite fast. So a traditional bladder, dairy bladder, you can let it thaw out and let it sit in your fridge for 10 days. The dairy-free by Meadowvale, because it's tapioca based, it's going to get pretty thick within the next 2 days-ish. But let me tell you, the difference is night and day. It is so smooth and creamy. Certain other dairy-free products that you go to mix with water and let it bloom, it's kind of got like a grainy texture to it. Meadowvale's doesn't have that. It's smooth through and through. It's very creamy, it's very rich. Of course, it has the coconut background taste, so that is the only flavor that they do have. So whatever you do make, it needs to complement coconut. Whether you want to make a coconut dairy-free, pumpkin cheesecake, I've done that with the dairy-free, and it came out great, the coconut pumpkin cheesecake. Steve makes a fantastic grape nuts and golden raisins. That pairs very well with dairy-free. So it's just knowing what works with the coconut taste. But Eddie Kahina, you can always reach out to me and I can send you his info, and he's a really, really, really sweet, great guy.
My personal taste on the coconut, on the dairy-free would tend towards Eddie's product, Meadowvale, if you can get it. It's not everywhere in the country. It is a fantastic product. For doing flavors where I'm not going to have any background taste, I like the oat. I like the outrageous because there is no taste to it. If you're working with my ice cream formulas, I have 528. Now we're going to have 6 more at emerythompson.com. If you're working with my flavors in ice cream, you can take my ice cream flavor and translate it over to dairy-free with one exception, and that is the oat especially, and somewhat the coconut. They don't have, oat has no taste. So it's like making an Italian ice. You have to add the taste into the water. The oat, you take my Oreo cookie recipe, and if it says 1 bag of Oreo cookies, if you're using oat, 2 bags, because there's no flavor in here. This is the carrier, it's the oat. But it's the whole concept is absolutely fantastic. Both of these, all of these cost more. So if you're getting the average of $5 a scoop for ice cream, you should be getting $6 for the dairy-free. Here we go. And this product, some people would say, oh, it's dairy-free, it has no dairy in it. Yes, but you're not fooling the millennial age group. That is not what they call dairy-free. That's Italian ice. We baby boomers can associate Italian ice. They are not the same product. Dairy-free is its own separate. I once said 3 years ago, nobody's ever going to open up just a dairy-free store. Well, I must know 6 dozen dairy-free stores around the country now. I did predict correctly that the first one would happen in San Francisco, and it did.
2, 3.
Have you ever had that oat leaf brand before?
Done what?
They sell in the stores
You can't
called
taste
oat
that.
leaf. OACL, either L-E-Y, oat leaf.
No,
Ice cream that's in the grocery store.
Yeah, no, I
Look at
haven't.
the label, there's so many chemicals in it.
Yeah, and most everything in the grocery store is that way because they have to make it last for 6 months or longer.
Right.
We don't.
Sure. Okay.
This is really good.
It looks good. The color's nice.
Yeah.
It's kind of a purple.
You guys all excited?
Yeah, looks good.
That's the best part about working here is you can eat and drink alcohol on the job.
It's also the worst part of the job because you have to watch what you eat and drink on the job.
Yeah, if any of you noticed, I have not made myself a cup. I take a taste of it. Just doing so, you kind of pack on the pounds working here. This is like a great, holiday flavor, and you can even make it just regular, just rename it, but Cranberry Cosmo kind of goes with Christmas.
Is that ice cream off the side of the nozzle on the machine, or is that just a reflection? Or?
Oh no, it's coming out on the side. If you don't open the gate all the way like I do, it won't do that.
They want that. Yeah.
When you work with alcohol content in your product, it will melt a lot faster than traditional. And your scooping temperature, too, can be higher because it's already soft from the alcohol. So if I was to take Steve's lemon ice and this and put it next to each other, this one's going to melt awfully quickly. That's when stabilizers come in handy, but we don't really like to use those, and it's not really necessary. I'll tell you what, my 15-year-old, she will flat out tell you what product has stabilizer in it just by looking at it now. And she can tell. And she'll see ice cream trucks or Italian ice trucks, and then she'll look at somebody else walking. She goes, no, they use stabilizers.
And in fact, if you take my product, Christi's product, and go buy some Breyers, this time tomorrow, the Breyers will still be frozen.
It doesn't melt.
It doesn't melt.
No.
It's funny how the stuff won't melt because it's got so much chemicals in it. The idea of ice cream should be milk, cream, sugar, skim milk. My dairy-free is coconut milk, cream of coconut. It comes in the can, to make bar drinks in Key West. Coconut milk, cream of coconut, sugar, or I can use allulose. I make sugar-free Italian ice. Allulose is a blend of rare fruits, and I have 6 recipes. You email me, and I'll send them to you. You can substitute that in there for the sugar. And now you're hitting a whole new market that nobody else is, and except Emery Thompson users. And I hope it stays that way. You ask my competition about dairy-free, they'll go, oh, sure, we'll give you an Italian ice. They don't understand it.
So, when I was a kid, growing up in Philadelphia, we were very familiar with Breyers because that's where they started. And before Kraft bought them, they didn't have any chemicals in their ice cream.
No, it was one of the best ice creams around.
It was the best ice cream I ever ate.
Yeah.
That vanilla fudge swirl with the vanilla and had the swirl in it, and
And,
no chemicals.
and just like Hershey's, Breyers started with Emery Thompson's.
What do you think of this one?
Really good.
Yeah, very good. This
Yeah?
is the best one I've had.
Good
Wow,
to hear.
best of the day.
Oh, that ice is really good.
Where's Jack? Where's Jack?
He doesn't do Italian ice, really. He only does ice cream and cream ice. That's it for him. But
Because of the profits.
I think it's just he's not an Italian ice fan. The profits are in Italian ice.
He figures if you got somebody in the door, get the most money out of it.
I guess.
Right.
But
I've used that theory before. I say if there's a hurricane coming today and only one person's going to come through the door, you want to extract as much money from them as you can. A more updated version of that is you give them the best thing on earth and the lines will form around the block. Now, the updated version is the right one. Give them, don't worry about the cost of the product, just make it, charge a high price for it. The prices of these products are insensitive because you're going to buy it if you want it, you're not going to buy it if you don't want it. Who goes into a pizza parlor and argues over the price of the pizza? It's either the pizza I want, and we all have our own favorite pizza parlor. It's either that pizza or it's no pizza.